Welcome back. It's time for Healthy Living.
To avoid wasting food or to store extra, put your freezer to good use. Beth Peralta, registered dietitian with University of Illinois Extension, is joining us via video chat this morning to share tips on how you can use your freezer to help your food last at home. We've been joking around, Beth, that we're playing Tetris with our freezers.
Yeah, I'm doing that a lot at home myself every time I do that essential grocery trip.
Absolutely. Okay, well, let's start with this. What are the foods that need to go into the freezer? What should we be keeping in there?
Well, you can freeze a lot of foods, but of course, any extras that you may have picked up at the store, leftovers, and also things that might be in the refrigerator that you know you're not going to be eating within a couple days that you want to make sure to use up. So like extra vegetables that you might not have used up, you can freeze a lot of different things. We all want to make sure that the food in our home doesn't go to waste right now. So some basic steps, especially things that could potentially grow bacteria like raw meats or leftovers. You want to freeze those within a couple days and make sure that they're not sitting out at room temperature for more than 2 hours. You're going to want use packaging that is safe for the freezer, so a resealable bag that is freezer safe or an airtight container. Looking for containers that are no more than 4 inches deep is also going to be really important. It'll freeze faster and reduce the growth of the crystals. Make sure there's airflow too, so having space around the package when it's being frozen. So if you are playing Tetris, try to move things around so there's a little bit more space around that package. And of course, keeping your temperature really cold, 0 degrees Fahrenheit or less is going to be key to keep things cold as they should be.
And what should we do when we are planning on freezing some produce?
Yeah, produce can be tricky, and for some of us, we may not realize that until we've tried to freeze something and take it out and the quality just isn't there. So any produce, so fruits or vegetable items that you're going to want to freeze, you'll want to wash them well with just water, so no soap, no bleach. Those can get into the food item themselves and potentially make someone sick. Fruits, a lot of them freeze better if they have sugar added or a simple syrup. It just helps with the texture and the quality. It doesn't mean that if you don't freeze it, it's going to be make you sick, but it just really helps it taste better. A great example is strawberries. 3/4 of a cup of sugar should be used with each quart of strawberries that you might be trying to freeze at home. For vegetables, most of them need to be blanched before freezing, and blanching is where you have a boiling water on the stovetop and you just put the cleaned vegetables in them for a short period of time. For example, green beans take about 3 minutes, and then once they have been blanched, then you put them quickly in cold water to stop the cooking process, and then they're ready to freeze. Blanching helps with flavor, it helps with texture and color. It also helps reduce the loss of vitamins within the vegetables too, so it's a really important process.
So what about less common things that we might want to freeze since we're trying to preserve those leftovers more and more these days? What about like milk and cheese?
Yeah, I've seen questions on social media a lot recently about milk and cheese, both, and a lot of different things. So milk, you can actually freeze it. However, you don't want to put it right into the freezer in the gallon-sized jug that you get at the store. If you have smaller containers that you can split it up into, that's really helpful. And then also leaving 1 inch of space at the top of the containers. That way, since the milk will expand when it's frozen, that will help with that process. And then with cheese, if you have hard or semi-hard cheeses, so block cheeses, shredded cheeses, those work really well. If it's a block cheese, you'll want to cut it into smaller pieces just to help it freeze a little bit faster and have better quality once it's defrosted.
And speaking of once things are defrosted, when you thaw things, we got to make sure that we're doing that safely, right?
Correct. So there's 4 safe ways to thaw when you're taking something out of the freezer. Probably the easiest one that we're most familiar with is simply putting something from the freezer straight into the refrigerator and letting it sit in there until it's defrosted. It may take a day or more depending on the item and how cold your refrigerator is. You can also thaw food in a leak-proof plastic bag that you put into cold water and then replace the cold water every 30 minutes so that it doesn't get too warm or too close to room temperature. You can also microwave the item. in a microwave safe container. And then after it's defrosted, cook it immediately. And then the last one is also during the cooking process. Like if you have frozen burgers, you can put them directly on the grill.
Very great tips. All right, Beth, thank you so much for sharing those with us today. I know a lot of us are going to need to take some notes and use those.
All right, thanks for having me. Have a great day.
Thanks, Beth. It was good to see you.